Chemistry Room Fragrances is the perfect addition when elevating the vibe of any space. Whether if it's your home, car, or office, and something needs a quick refresh, our room fragrances provide that beautiful burst of fragrance with just one quick mist. Shop now at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Chemistry Room Fragrances. Smells so good. Hey, Recondius, what's going on?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. Disclaimer, y'all, my allergies are really bothering me and things are draining. So if I sound like a 13-year-old little boy, I'm so sorry. Okay.
You don't sound like a 13-year-old little boy.
Yeah, I feel rough. Like I've been smoking a pack of Marlboros. It's bad. But so y'all just bear with me tonight. With that being said, hey everybody, it's Camille Tessick. I'm the host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe and join me. I am on Instagram at Camille.Essick. If you haven't heard, Good Black Men Official is now officially online. You can go right now to our website and follow us on Instagram. And we also have spring merch available. I now have t-shirts in a variety of colors. So you can use the coupon code GBM15 and subscribe and save 15% at the checkout. My Amazon store is now available. All my favorite goodies. I'm constantly adding items there. You can go to my Amazon store. I have digital products on my Etsy shop as well. So with that being said, you may have seen him before on Heart and Soul and also on my Black Fatherhood panel. But I wanted to bring him in so he could have his own um, seat in the living room. In the living room. Recondius Lynch is here. So Recondius, thank you for your first time exclusive interview on the Speaker Podcast.
Well, thank you for creating a platform where we can speak openly and honestly about things that plague our community, Black men, and just overall entrepreneurs like you. You're doing your thing, man. I'm grateful to be here.
Thank you. So before we jump into everything, kind of give us a background. I know you, you're my scout. um, Celebrity stylist. If you didn't know, he's also a celebrity stylist. Um, a background, just a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So who am I? I am Recondius O'Brien. I am an African American male who is navigating through the trenches of life, unlearning a lot of bad behavior, relearning the things that matter, the things that are most important. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I
Mhm.
actually have certifications and licenses in 7 different things.
Wow.
One, I am an ordained minister. I am a life coach. I'm a business coach. I am a master cosmetologist. I'm a makeup artist. I am a published author and a certified chef with a degree in restaurant management. So I have a few things that I do kind of well. But yeah.
Just wearing many hats. I absolutely love it. So I know you in the lane of the tresses. So what was your inspiration into getting into that field?
Wow. So I was 5 when I fell in love with hair. I remember distinctly my mother used to press and curl her friend's hair. And
Mhm.
I, being the only child at that time, I had to sit in the corner and watch. So while I was playing with my toys, I would watch what she would do.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as she, her guests or whatever left, I would try to emulate exactly what I saw her do. Like I mastered. Do you remember when you used to comb your hair over the flip?
Come
I
on
mastered that at 5 years old. Like I
now.
knew how to,
What?
yeah. So I would get on the bed and I would watch Mickey Mouse, the black and white version, and literally,
Was he Steamboat Willie then?
was he Steamboat Willie?
Or was he Mickey Mouse?
Oh, he was Mickey Mouse, but it was in black and white. Like they had the
Okay.
cast with the kids on on the risers and everything.
Okay.
I would get on the bed and I would emulate exactly what I saw her do. And so that was when I fell in love with it. When my sister, by the time my sister was born, I took all her baby dolls and I went in the corner and I changed their hair.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing. Um, and aren't you a trauma coach?
I am. I am.
So what
Yeah.
pushed you into that lane?
Managing my own trauma, having to understand that here we are. Um, One of the things about the African American community, we're not given the tools for managing trauma. The
Mm-hmm.
old adage is what goes on in this house stays in this house. And so for me, understanding the things that I've had to go through and overcome, it was important for me to be able to give voice to others, to be able to speak to their truth, be able to speak to their pain and
Mm-hmm.
manage it. A trigger only works as long as it continues to trigger you. But when you take your power back, it no longer has the power to trigger you because now you acknowledge, hey, I know what that is. I've been there
Yeah.
before and I don't have to stay in that space.
So in doing that, Recondius, we have to learn to manage our moments, right?
Absolutely.
So I've had some moments in the last couple months or whatever, and we all cope or manage them in different ways.
Right.
So how can you speak to the viewers and listeners as far as how do you safely manage moments? Because some people can manage a moment and they explode, and some people go inward and they internalize it and they become their prisoner and warden.
Good question. So the first thing that I would tell anyone, including myself, is to acknowledge what is happening.
Hmm.
Acknowledge what is happening. Don't try to suppress it because that's what our innate response is to press it down and not deal with it. But acknowledge that this is uncomfortable.
Mm.
Acknowledge what it is first. Once you acknowledge what it is, figure out where it's coming from. Why is this bothering me like this? And why is this causing me to retreat as opposed to stand toe to toe with it? Most times I've found that it's a response generally from your youth or your childhood that
Okay.
causes you to retreat back to that space where you're innocent and you don't have the power or the strength or the wherewithal to be able to manage it. And
Hmm.
so once you acknowledge it, right? You acknowledge it, you figure out where it came from.
Right.
Is this a now response or is this a then response?
Okay.
Once you acknowledge that, because I will tell anyone that until you deal with that little boy and that little girl, that little boy and little girl will rise up in every area of your life until you manage her. Make her feel safe, make him feel safe. He's gonna always show up because no one ever validated him in that space that he was in. Once you acknowledge it, once you figure out where it came from, then you figure out the best and safest way to handle it. And sometimes it
Mhm.
means that you have to go and talk to someone. Sometimes it means that I have to literally sit down, write a letter, have a conversation with myself, my younger self,
Mhm.
and express your pain, express how you feel, and then apologize
Mhm.
and ask you to forgive you for not being aware at that time of what you needed.
So that lashing out, I call it loud brokenness.
Good segue.
And I I see it all the time in men and women, like they walk into the room and you always have to be seen,
Yeah.
or you're always having to be loud, you're always demanding to be heard, or you're always angry, you're always belligerent, or you're always being shady on social media. Like you're saying you're happy and successful or whatever, whatever. But if you are, why are you always having to announce it? And when you see people lashing out like that or in relationships, it could be the smallest thing
Hmm.
and you just blow up. I'm like, that's loud brokenness.
I call it unprocessed trauma. I call it unprocessed trauma because what you're doing is you're loud because you want someone to see you.
Hmm.
And what you're doing is you're going to validate me whether you want to or not. I am here.
See me, hear me, listen to me,
See me,
look at
hear me,
me.
listen to me. And
Yeah.
and one of the things, like I've known that for some time, but I just finished reading Jennifer Lewis's book, The Black Mother of Hollywood.
Ooh.
A very powerful read because she was loud and she was belligerent and she literally kicked her way into every room until the room stopped opening up for her.
Can you
And
say
she,
that again? Because I don't think people realize that you screaming for validation can actually close doors.
yes, she was loud and belligerent, and she literally she figured that was the only way that people would see her.
Hmm.
That if she showed up loud, but what she was doing was projecting from her pain because when she was molested, no one acknowledged the molestation. When she was broken and she had miscarriages, no one acknowledged her brokenness. And so she figured the only way that people would see her if she was loud. And someone pulled her to the side and said, "Hey, I can't use you because you're not manageable, or you're loud and you're belligerent." Sometimes, and I'm not going to get spiritual yet, but when you have the Holy Ghost, or you have that something that says, "Hey, maybe not now," that is your small voice. That is your subconscious telling you, "Hey, pull that back." But a lot of times, because we are so damaged and we're so hurt, we don't know how to pull it back. We're out there.
Or you hide in ships. So I call hiding in ships or relationships, right?
Yeah. That loud brokenness literally plays in a lot of parts of our lives, unfortunately. And when you say loud brokenness, what you're doing is you're going from person to person trying to validate the areas that are broken. And the problem is that the persons that you're dealing with have no idea the enemy that they're fighting, simply because you've not shared. Yeah, that's the part. That's the part about trauma that is really, really the chokehold or the stronghold. We have to understand that if you don't give voice to it, it will silently haunt you over and over and over and over again. When you speak to it and then you acknowledge it, now it's scared because I see you. Then when you figure out who caused it or where it came from, it's almost like the scripture when Adam and Eve found out they were naked. Who told you you were naked?
Mm.
Shame is learned, it is not given. But because we are so afraid of we're going to be judged because of what we've been through, but everybody's been through something. That's really the saving grace. That's really the great part. Everybody's been through something.
Yeah.
Your something may not be my something, but everybody's been through something.
Yeah. One of the things I learned when I started therapy, um, even though I experienced things, whether it's molestation or emotional abuse and neglect, you know, whatever, once I started addressing it, but before then, even though those things had happened, because I had not addressed it out loud in my mind, the shadow was getting bigger and bigger
Hmm.
to where it was bigger than what it really was. Not to diminish my experience, but I made it into this Goliath. And the more I didn't address it or say, hey, this happened, it was controlling me because I had made it to be this big monster. But once I cut on that light and exposed it, it shrunk.
So the trauma's job. I was gonna say the enemy's job, but for those that may not believe in that, the trauma's job is to keep you silent. Because as long as I got you hostage, then you're gonna always fall prey to me. You will always be my victim. But when you give it voice, then it no longer it's no longer haunting. It's incredible how we learn, even as a child. I learned. I thought about this really hard. My family member said was raising a child that wasn't theirs. Oh, that that cry like a little sissy. I
Mm.
said, what other way is he going to get your attention? Emotions are not necessarily innate. We
Mm.
learn what each emotion means. He's crying because he knows that's the only way you're going to look at him and pay him attention. How
Right.
about ask him what's wrong? Look him over, see if something's happening, but don't prejudge him because he can't audibly say what's hurting him.
Right.
Adults are the same way. So when you say loud brokenness, adults are doing the exact same thing. Don't you see that I'm hurt? Don't you see that I've been through something? Don't you see that that man is whooping my tail every night?
Right.
I covered up the bruises, but you can't see that something's wrong.
I mean,
Loud brokenness is very, very real as it relates, and it segues into other things like really loudly.
yeah. And the reason why I brought up loud brokenness is because I did that. And I didn't realize I was doing that in my 20s and early 30s. Excuse me. But it was loud brokenness.
Yeah.
But once I started to expose it, I've noticed now I'm quieter. I can walk into a space and I'll speak, but I don't have to that vibrato. It's not necessary. And I've learned that the louder the vibrato, the deeper the brokenness.
Can I tell you that when you walk into a room healed, there is a aura or a light about you that draws everyone to you. When you walk into a room healed, you would be surprised at how many people pay attention because of your wellness. Because of your wellness. Because your peace is palpable. A lot of people don't realize I get more, my peace bothers, makes people unsettled more so than me being loud and boisterous. I don't have to make a lot of noise. I don't have to be, I don't have to be, I'm not a loud person anyway. That I'm just not, but my peace definitely makes people uncomfortable a lot.
Yeah, I experienced that at work. I come in, I mind my business, I'm quiet, I get my tea, go to my office. But I draw attention at times, and it creates a curiosity because
Hmm.
people are like, "How is it that you're so quiet? You're so calm?" People can be at work and they're upset, and I'm just here
Yeah.
because I'm in a zone. I'm in a zone.
Yep. I just recently got back from Dubai, and we were traveling to Dubai, and my friend that was sitting next to me, the gentleman that sat in front of him, um, was a little forceful putting his luggage up,
Mm,
and he wanted to sound out. And I said, no. I said, why? What is it going to prove? We got a 14-hour flight. He
yeah,
was like, you cannot be that calm. I said, I can. I said, because what you're going to do is upset the entire plane. We're going to be delayed. You're more than likely going to be put off. I said, but the thing is this. I said, there are people that have entitlement. There are people that are aware of it. There are some of us who just simply are the receivers, the receptors of their, and literally for like 2 hours, he just sit down and he looked at me like, I can't believe. I was like, no, why? Why?
yeah. I know we use the term unbothered, but you really become unbothered. And I've noticed, like within the last year or so, I don't know if it's coming with age. It just could be a lot of things. But now a lot of things, I've just quietly removed myself from conversations and spaces and people. And I've just been like, okay,
Well,
okay.
here's the real thing. We are on the, I guess, on the outside or on the other side of a pandemic, right? The pandemic has exacerbated a lot of persons, a lot of people. Their force field has been just ruptured,
Shattered,
beca-
obliterated.
shattered, because they had no idea that they don't like themselves, right?
Mm,
And so, being in the pandemic for me, um, I allowed myself that time to acknowledge the things that I was uncomfortable with.
mhm,
I allowed myself that time to be still and to be quiet, and so, when life began to resume, I kept that same stance in a lot of ways. I still honor my peace. I still honor my quiet time. There are times I don't turn on the radio when I get in the car. There are times when I just literally am silent. I can be in this house for 3, 4 days, no TV, no radio, just me. I will, and then I'm limited, not because I'm closed off for any of those things, but if we don't spend the time recouping and recovering, we will always be on edge. Really, something I learned last week. Jonathan Majors is everywhere, right?
Yeah,
So he's been carrying this cup. He carries the cup with him everywhere he
I
goes.
saw that. Yeah.
And so everywhere he goes is like, well, what's the deal with the cup? He said, my mother told me that as long as I am aware that my cup is full, I can't wait for someone else to fill my cup.
Mm,
That is my responsibility. No one has to validate me because I'm already validating myself.
that's good.
And that was really powerful to me because we give from empty cups often.
Can we
And then,
unpack that for a minute? Like,
sure, yeah, just so how you want to unpack it? You want to
let's
unpack
just
it?
jump in. Let's go. And I say that because, backstory, one of the reasons why I joined the Navy when I did, I had spent so much time pouring from an empty cup.
Yeah,
Family, church, job, friends, but nothing was giving back to me. And I was tapped out. I lost my grandmother, I lost my uncle, and then lost my grandfather on top of everything else going on. And Cam was tapped out.
yeah,
And I'm thinking, here I am about to enter the next decade of my life, and I don't have any resource for me. I
hmm
had dropped out of college, and I was just like, I need a reset. How can I do that? And a friend of mine from college was like, "Oh, you need to join the Navy, whatever, da da da." But when I thought about it, I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna travel, see the world, right? Um, I'm gonna earn money for school and a VA home loan. I'm gonna get, additional skill sets as far as leadership." I know it sounded crazy, but I joined the military to get away.
makes sense.
And it gave me time to, and of course, I did experience things when I was there, but when I left uh, a few weeks before the pandemic, where and who I was before then till now, I found my voice. I learned how to speak up for myself. Um, I had spent a lot of time, before then in my life, um, accommodating people. I spent a lot of time not being confrontational, not in a negative way, but just saying yes because I wanted you to like me. I was afraid of saying no. I didn't want to hurt your feelings, even though it may have been something I didn't want to do or wasn't really cool with. But well, yeah, I just, that person, I was that girl, being a pushover. And fast forwarding now, I can say no and not flinch. You be mad at me, okay, but no, I'm not doing that. And when I have reached that line and I don't have enough for me, hey, I can't right now. I'll fall back and check out. I just did a TikTok because a lot was going on the last 2 weeks, and I was like, Cam needs a reset.
Yeah,
Like you, I'll turn off the TV. I'll go to work, no music, whatever I need to do to like factory reset. I will factory reset on you in a minute if it's going to get me back to ground one, level one, the lobby where I will do it. And I've learned the importance of my thoughts, my peace, um, the ability to have clarity of mind. So I totally agree with that. But pouring from an empty cup had me frustrated, mad. I was beating up on myself internally, mentally with my thought pattern, questioning my ability. And then it was spilling over into my friendships and relationships because I felt resentful because I'm like, they say no and nobody's upset with them. So why can't I say no? It was like a domino effect. And when I learned how to say no and put my foot down, I was like, no, Camille, but and it's not about being selfish, but it was like, what is this doing for my spiritual wealth? What is this doing for my mental health? What is this doing for my physical health? What is this doing for my financial health? No.
so let me tell you this thing about this empty cup, right? So I struggle with being selfish. in any kind
Right.
of way. I've never been able to. That's not my gift, right? So one day I got in the shower, and that's water activates my hearing loud. I heard the voice of God say, "Selfish has gotten a bad rap. Selfish preservation is if there's anything left over and I choose to share it, then I can share it." So he literally showed me a cup. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think I have as my glass, but he showed me the glass. He said, "Your gifts and talents, that is what I've given you to fill your cup." He said, "Now, what if anything flows over? You can share that." He said, "But when you begin to give from that which I've given you to sustain yourself, now you're taking from your life source, the things that you need, the things that you have to have." He said, "And so that's your choice. But when you're empty, where do you go to be refilled?"
That part.
And so for me, it was it was a hard. And so now I don't look at cups the same way.
Hmm.
When I look at an empty cup, I'm like, how do I fill this cup? And even now, it literally for me is really I literally, so now there are times like you say, you can say no now without even incident, right? So for me, it's, you know what, I'm unable to manage that right now because I'm very big on how it lands, because
Yeah.
this is the thing when you're dealing with people. Everybody got a landmine, right? And so
Ooh.
yeah. So if I say to you, Camille, I can't do your hair today. I really don't feel well. I said, but anyway, your hair is not that bad. That would be offensive to you because your hair is something that you really pride yourself on, right? Me not knowing that that's a landmine for you, will strike you and make you feel as if it's a personal attack. So for me, these lips have been this size since I was 5. So for years, when somebody say big lips, immediately I'm offended. Now they want these lips.
They paying for
They paying for them. But for years, I literally thought that I was unattractive because of these lips and this nose. But the thing is, no one knew that. They didn't know they had hit the landmine. So I'm very careful about how I say things in an effort to make sure that I am not adding damage. And the thing is you just don't know who's who, what's a sensitive spot, what's not. And the thing about when we begin to communicate, especially in our close relationships, we have to allow people to see the broken parts as well as the well parts. Because if I, again, one of the things that I've learned, I got to bring all of me into the room.
I love that. I love that quote.
I listen, it took
I love
me
that quote.
years to understand I can't leave the parts of me that are unsavory to you outside, because then I'm hurting. If I only bring in the gifts that you want, the rest of me is outside, empty and barren, thinking that those are the only things that you like about me. But what happens when I bring all of me into the room and you see the fullness of me for who I am? Then guess what? There's nothing to unpack. I'm real. I'm a person. I'm a human. But giving from an empty cup, that's some learned behavior for validation from people that are invalids. That's like me trying to get you to teach me how to walk and you can't walk. Does it make any sense?
It does. So I was listening to TD Jakes yesterday, and he was talking about when there are tears in a relationship. And he made the comment, he used the example of a cloth or
Mm-hmm.
linen. And he was like, when there's a tear, there's damage on both sides.
That's so good. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, what did he say? He was like, anytime there's a tear or a break,
It's on both
there's
sides.
damage on both sides.
On both sides. And you know what we do? And again, I don't want to be super spiritual, but I am
I
a
mean, that's
preacher.
what we do here. We
Yeah,
go
it
there at
is.
times.
So my little brother said, and we got to stop saying God is going to fill our cup when we're naturally empty. See, that's the thing, though. But
Come
watch
on,
this.
Curtis.
Let me tell you though. Let me tell you though. And it's I don't want to say that it's sad, but we have used church rhetoric and church um,
Cliches.
cliches and rhythms to substantiate joy. And I said substantiate joy until we get outside. Do you know for years I wouldn't shout in church. I wouldn't dance because I'm
Why?
like, because y'all dancing on top of hurt. Deal with your hurt and then dance to victory. Now I do understand that there is a prophetic dance through the hurt, but you keep doing the same thing and your results are the same. That's not spiritual. That's schizophrenic.
I think
It's
there's seasons because I went through a season where I wouldn't because I couldn't
but the thing about it
because
is,
I was empty
yeah. But see, the thing about it is, why are you empty? That's what I'm saying. Find that. Get to the root of
because
why.
I wasn't saying no.
It
I
wasn't
was
just about saying no. It
I
was
was
about
pouring,
somebody saying no to you so long that you
I was
literally
getting to
you
that.
was a
It was
people pleaser.
I was getting to that. It was me pouring from the empty cup, but the root of it was rejection and not being validated.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
got to the bottom of it, it came out of rejection. Like everything at the bottom of everything was being rejected, being pushed to the side, not being seen and not being heard. So I went through that first, couple chapters of my life, and I call that couple chapters my 20s and early 30s. I was fighting for people to see me and hear me and be validated. And out of that, I made some very tumultuous decisions.
But and I hope that you've had a conversation with yourself and forgave
Oh
yourself,
yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you, what's interesting is no one tells you how to do it right, but they'll be quick to tell you that you did it wrong.
Right. But I had to be honest, even though I was like, well, this person, but then I had to also look at me. But Camille, why did you allow that person in your life? Go back into the root of it.
Yeah,
Rejection, hurt, not feeling valued, and it's all cyclical. And that's why I wanted us to have these conversations, not only in our own transparency, but for the listeners and viewers, um, to kind of sit down with yourself. When you have those moments of being quiet and
yeah.
off to yourself in those quiet times, and just being real. Like you're not the hero in everybody's chapter. In some chapter, you're the villain to some. You're somebody's villain.
Well, I took off my cape. In my book, I write about Superman. I said that the day I found myself buried underneath the paraphernalia, the capes, the shields, and the swords. Well, I've been so busy trying to save the world, I realized the one who needed saving was me.
Mm.
And taking off the cape is not the hard part. The day after you decide to take off the cape, you feel the need to run and put it back on because it's comfortable and it's familiar, which is what we do with pain also.
Yeah, some
You
people you
know,
wrap up in it because that's all you know.
it's all you know. And
But
in
there's
this
an other
season of my
side to that.
life, in
Yeah,
this season of my life, my goal, my joy is to show up fully and not have to run and save anybody, especially if you're not trying to save yourself.
and that comes into boundaries and alignment.
Yeah, that's a hard one right there.
I mean, that's one of the things I've learned in this chapter of my life. I've learned boundaries and more the importance of alignment. So can you kind of unpack that a little bit, Recondius?
So, boundaries are hard for me. Boundaries are hard for me, because
Why?
uh, they were hard for me because you know what? Um, if you don't, like, I just learned how to use do not, I just literally in the last 9 months started utilizing do not disturb on my phone. Cause watch this now this is gonna mess up your psyche just a little bit.
What?
Because as a minister, I was taught I had to always be available. I've gotten out of my bed at 3 o'clock in the morning and had to pray for someone. I've had to get up and go to the hospital. I've had to go and buy diapers and milk for my nieces and nephews. That was so I felt like I had to be always available. So as I've grown, now watch this. One day the Spirit of God said to me, every house has walls, right? I said, yes. Well, those walls are made so that whatever's on the outside or what is not designed for that room can't get in. And so what that means is that I had to learn that with boundaries are necessary in order for you to have healthy relationships. Every ship is not designed to be in this water. There's some, even when you look at, oh, that's good. Even when you are on, if you go to a dock, there are some boats that can only get through the canal, right? You can't bring your yacht through the canal because the canal cannot manage the yacht. When you look at large bodies of water, there are some parts of the water where they say, after you get to this point, we are no longer responsible for this because your capacity to manage that is not large enough to manage that body of water.
Ooh.
So, right. So if I don't have boundaries, right? And here you come with all your stuff.
It's like a canoe in the ocean.
What am I do? I am overwhelmed because I have not solidified or identified where my boundaries are. And so here I am out here in the deep, about to be swallowed up. And it ain't even my stuff. Here I am in my little boat, just moving along. But I didn't chart out my course. I didn't set the parameters that are safe. And so now I am out here literally naked, ashamed, and I don't have no boundaries.
About to capsize.
I'm about to capsize.
Ooh, child. No life and no life jacket.
Because I'm in a canoe, so I don't have a life jacket. I didn't even know I needed one.
Sir.
I didn't even know I needed one. I don't like
Okay.
you because this is how our conversations always shift, man. But that was good. That's so good though. That's so good though.
But we have these conversations offline.
We do. So you said boundaries and alignment. Okay, right?
Yeah.
Alignment is so necessary as we move forward, right? In this season, in this new season of our lives, we have to be clarion clear of who are the people that are assigned to us, the spaces that we're supposed to go. There are many incidents, but I'm trying to think of one safe incident to where I have walked into a room and I knew that wasn't my room. And I was uncomfortable until I left. We've got to stop ignoring those things, that unction, that gift, that
discernment or the gut
discernment.
Yes.
We have to stop that because what that's doing, those things are not in alignment with your spirit. Those things are not in alignment with what your beliefs are. You know, a lot of, alignment is so key. One of the things when I came back from Dubai, I was messed up in my head, right? I've been back 2 weeks and I'm still in a.
I've been, and it's a mind shift when you've experienced that culture.
So right, I am reassessing every situation.
Like, what am I doing in my life?
I'm reassessing every person, every relationship. Are you in alignment with where I'm trying to go? Are you literally pushing me, or you are the dam that's stopping me from getting to where I'm supposed to get?
Distractions.
Because that's what alignment looks like. Alignment means that I am able to keep it in the area or the road when it's out of alignment, or the people are out of alignment. You all over the place.
But don't we do that, whether if it's a friendship or relationship, and deep down, your gut is like, but because we're trying to be polite or nice, or if this is what we really want, we are what I call jaywalking in the spirit, and we want to make it happen anyway. So then we hit the override button and like, no, I'm gonna do this. But you know from day one, like, that was not your person.
God he allows our permissive will. He does. And when I tell people all the time, I say, God is a gentleman. He's such a kind God because he allows some things to happen. But when you realize I'm out here in the deep and I ain't right here, right? Hopefully you get yourself together and you turn around and get back to shore before you capsize, because
what do you do when that person ride with you and they poking holes in the boat?
Again, I'm telling you, we can no longer ignore those things that are telling us different. We can't ignore those, because when you're looking for me, right? So where I'm at today, I want to ride with the people that's riding hard for me. I want to ride with the people that are driving like me. Now, mind you, I'm not saying you got to drive what I drive, but are you moving? Are you mobile?
Reciprocity is important to me.
Reciprocity, man. And you know what? When you look at some of the relationships, you realize you're the only one pouring. And every time you turn around, they're extracting. You know what I see now? I see me and I see a siphon in my back. And now I look and see whose lips are attached.
Taking all the gas.
True story. That's how I look. When I start to feel uncomfortable, I'm like, all right, ain't nobody filling up, but everybody siphoning.
Church finger.
But you know what, that we learned that in church though.
Ooh.
If it ain't sacrifice.
Just not in just church, but just culturally, like as a people.
Well, that's the first place we were taught that's what you're supposed to do. If it ain't sacrifice, if you don't hurt, it's not sacrifice. Christ was the ultimate sacrifice. Why are we still hanging ourselves?
Is this thing on?
Is it? Because
it's quiet in these comments. I need y'all to like, comment, and share. This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast, and right now I'm sitting down with Recondius Lynch, and we are talking about boundaries and alignment. I need y'all to like drop a heart, do something, because it's quiet. It's tight. Nobody's talking. Usually I'm getting comments, but they're just in here for the comments. I don't know what's going on today. Talk to us, people. What's up? Are we in your living room? Are we stepping on your little toes? Let us know.
Listen.
So in that also leads us into why are we walking down these red flags from a red to a yellow, from a yellow to a green? Can we unpack that? Why are we walking down flags in 2023? Houseway.
So she's my friend just texted me, said my wife, I'm husband number 2. She said that they can't comment. She said we can't comment.
I don't know. I can't speak to your device. I don't know.
Well, it's not my device. I'm just telling you what she said.
Yeah, they can hop on YouTube because Curtis is commenting. So, but why are we walking down red flags? Like, why are we doing that?
All right. So here we are. We out here in the deep now. So why are we walking down red flags? Any flags? It's a couple of things. The first thing I saw someone say, I read something a few months ago that says, I am no longer collecting flags. She said she's on Facebook. She said, I'm not, so I read something that I'm no longer collecting flags. This is not a parade. But this is the thing though. I'm gonna speak for me. I can't speak for you. I'm a fixer. It is my nature to fix everything. Even as a kid, I would take stuff apart and put it back together. And if it worked, I felt like I had exceeded or excelled, right? But watch this. We just got through talking about Superman and the capes, right?
Right.
No one ever came to save Superman. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like I felt. And so what I used to do was that if I saw an area that was troubling for you, then I went in and I tried to save you so that you wouldn't have to experience that alienation or isolation because nobody tried to save you. Most of the times, and this is really a real thing, and it's actually a trauma response, collecting flags. I have something, even though it's not good for me, it's something. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
So who's the tow truck for the tow truck?
You said what?
Who's the tow truck for the tow truck?
A flatbed?
I'm just saying, like you see tow trucks, when people break down, the tow truck comes and takes the cars away.
Right.
But who's there for the tow truck when they break down?
Well, see, that's the thing. That goes all the way back to an empty cup or filling your cup. You literally, to be honest with you, Camille, these flag things, we recognize them, we see them. They red, they yellow. Some of them are green. My
Some of them
favorite
are
color.
black.
Some of them are black. But the
Child.
problem is, this is the thing. I got something. I'm trying to find something that's tangible. I'll use this napkin. It might be damaged, but it's mine. I can fix it. I can make it better. We've all seen the adage where the lady gets a snake and because snake is not well and fix it. And what does snake do as soon as it get well? It chokes her.
Why he told me it was a snake?
You knew who I was. But we keep hoping that you're going to show me something different. You keep hoping it's going to be something different. It's not. It's what it is. And we have to start acknowledging, again, we started the conversation. When you acknowledge what it is, find out why it is that you want it.
But my thing is, I'm a nurturer. That's one of my love languages, is giving, being present, showing up. And it's not that bad.
But watch this.
Well,
when they don't do it to you, when they don't reciprocate that, you're wounded.
Yes.
You're wounded, and it takes you back to a space. Yeah. So when do you start taking your power back and saying, hey, you know what? Maybe that doesn't work. Again, I share it with you. Sometimes I hate to share this story. Hopefully this is good. This person is not listening. Hopefully this person not listening. So, right, I'm a hairstylist, right? That's one of my jobs. So one day, one of my clients came in and she's sitting in my chair. I didn't have it that day. I was working from an empty cup, right? So I kind of spun her around so that no one else could see what I was saying to her. I said, hey, I don't have it today. I said, I want you to get up and go to the bathroom, wash your face, get yourself together. When you're ready to resume, we can pick up where we left off. She was literally waiting on me to say, what's wrong? I didn't have it that day. And that was the beginning of me taking my power back. These clients they know who they can pull from. It's an energy thing. They know who's got it. And you can go here. People are attracted to your anointing. They know who you are. They see who you are. And they literally get assistance or help from it and never even think, I'm going to leave an offering or I'm going to come back later and just check in and see how you're doing. They're not used to that. You know why? Because we always show up well and whole and full, but most times we operating from a deficit.
I had to say no. I was going through something a couple weeks ago, and somebody wanted to hang out. And at first I said yes, and I didn't want to. And I was like, why did you say yes when right now you don't have the capacity to pour into them? And I had to circle back, and I was like, I can't hang because I needed me. Camille needed Camille.
And that's okay.
And I needed to reset. And I didn't feel bad about it because I thought it would not have been fair. And any other time I would have shown up, but what I needed in that moment for myself spiritually and mentally to pull out of that space, it would have put me in a lower place. And I was like, I can't afford that. Not today.
And that's why alignment is important, Camille, because again, when you speak to somebody and it's always a woe is me, that's a spirit of suffering. You don't desire to be better. And we keep collecting those flags. And now we got a closet full, sometimes a room full of stuff that's not even ours.
Oh, wait, stop. Spiritual hoarding.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you give it language like that, so this is the thing, right? You get on my nerves. You pull on me My brother said I will always be his 4-wheel drive, and it's okay, brother, because that's what
Tonka.
brother. That's my baby. He knows it. This is the thing, Camille. Everything is not ours. So true story. Watch this. How many times have you done something for someone, right? And then you started to question whether or not you did the right thing.
Mm.
Because see, this is where the Lord deals with me. I'm not going to persecute you for what you did because you did it from a good place. But did you literally understand that I was trying to teach her the lesson that you've already learned? You literally interjected or interceded where I was trying to teach her a lesson, and she almost had it. And she turned to you and you became her savior.
Pacifier.
So spiritual hoarding is a real thing. And we have to be careful for those that are spiritual, because we literally, we do it. We're not even aware that it's happening a lot of times. But we look up now. This is gonna mess you up. I was sharing with the class last night in Bible study. This says that we are born into sin, right? We're born into sin, right?
And shaped in iniquity.
Shaped in. So here we are. We coming through the birth canal, right? Some of us picked up some of the trauma from our parents, and we're trying to figure out why. Why is that my proclivity, or why is that my nature? You grab that on your way down, baby. You grab that trauma on your way down. And so you literally don't understand why some of the things that you're forced to look at now, you're like, I never had that problem before.
It's called vicarious trauma.
It's vicarious trauma, but trauma is molecular. And until we understand that we are, again, we don't know the things that we're dealing with. But here you are trying to fix something that you wasn't even in the room for when it was given out.
I say this all the time, and well, I would say I've said this in the last couple of years, and I had to realize, my cousin and I, we talk all the time, and with our parents, and this is just in general, parents, period. Our parents were people before they were our parents. And it's like we came in on a miniseries that was already in play. And we
Yep.
came in on season 4, season 5, whatever, and there was a warfare going on, and we got caught in the crossfire. And we're not even initially, we think we're one of the main characters, but we're really like season 4 now, introducing Recondius,
Well, watch this though.
we're coming in on a story already in play.
Some of it wasn't even supposed to be a story. Some of them were pilots. Some of them were pilots. They weren't even supposed to be a story.
Shots fired. I'm hit.
Some of them wasn't even supposed to be. It wasn't even supposed to be a movie. It wasn't even supposed to happen. It literally wasn't even supposed to
It
go
was
there.
a trailer.
It was literally people acting. What you call it? My actresses, they do sets where they read back and forth. They were reading one thing led to.
It was a table.
Table reading. They were doing table reads, right?
They made it
Table
an
reading.
episode.
One thing led to another. Next thing you know, we got to shoot it because it's a baby.
Because you made what is it saying? You made a temporary person a lifetime person when they should have been they weren't. What's that? You making lifetime people out of seasonal people, however it goes. So,
Let me tell you something. I heard today, and I've always known this. I learned this. Helen Baylor says, applause says, I love you. She said every time she'd be on stage and the people would applaud, she felt love, right? Mm-hmm. And she said, but when the music stopped, she didn't feel the love anymore. Usher said today on Tamron Hall, every time I get on stage, the applause of the fans give me the love that I didn't get from my father. I heard it today. So we literally, the flags that we're collecting is applause. And it's a generic form of love, right? It's a generic form of love in the place of what we really want. And the unfortunate part is these flags have created boundaries for the person that will love you or the person that will come in and love you because the space is full.
Yeah. So what about even walking down red flags in relationship that this is clearly a red flag, But if you walk that red flag down to a yellow,
You acknowledge that it's a flag. I don't care what color it is. If there's an alert, if there is something that is signifying that this is off, then acknowledge it. Figure out why it is that you're drawn to that. And then once you figure out why you're drawn to it, either take your power back or lean all the way into it. Because one of the things I'm not a hot or cold. I'm not a lukewarm person.
you're
If
one or
I'm
the
with you,
other.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
If I ain't with you, I can speak and go on, but we don't have to have a relationship, right? But you have to acknowledge what that thing is that draws me to this flag. Acknowledge it, figure out why it is you're drawn to it, and then decide what you're going to do with it. It's nothing wrong with stopping and moving away from it. Because guess what? My niece taught me this a few weeks ago. She said, "Oh, that's not a me problem. That's a you problem.
What Nisi Poo say?
That's not a me problem. That's a you problem." And I
Mm.
said, "Oh, Uncle gonna use that." Because what I had to understand was we take on the characteristics of stuff that don't even belong to us. And we marry ourselves to them. That's not ours. It's not ours. And you can allow your past to make you give a trauma response because that's real. Because it's familiar, something that I'm dealing with and I'm struggling with. I don't struggle with it. Something I'm dealing with, and I'm hoping to manage it so much better in my latter years. What I've been through does not denote who I am. What I've been through, it gives me the wisdom and the experience, but you can't take me to a space that I've already graduated from.
Ooh, I need you to repeat that for the people in the back.
You can no longer take me to a space that I've already graduated from. We spend so much energy trying to work to be better, and then we take one simple simpling to come and take us back. No, you don't get to do that. I graduated. I got my degree in that.
People will get mad at you because before, when you used to be able to feed into something and you used to buy into it and it would set you off. But then when you graduate, and I had this experience about 2 weeks ago, and somebody got mad at me because I wasn't hysterical and whatever. And I was like, okay. And they were mad because I wasn't emotional. And it wasn't that I didn't care, but I'm here to get information. But I wasn't buying into, I didn't take the bait.
Yeah.
And because I didn't take the bait, they were upset because
So
I wasn't upset.
that's exactly what I mean when I say a trigger is no longer a trigger. So 2 years ago, I was sitting at my birthday dinner in New Orleans, and we were talking at the table, and my friend was like, "How long you gonna let that trigger you?" And I became enraged. I said, "Are you telling me I can acknowledge what has happened to me? I can acknowledge my pain?" He said, "No, I'm not telling you that. I'm telling you how long are you gonna let it bother you?" And so for 2 to 3 days, I wrestled, I tossed and turned with that thing. And what I had to understand, a bullet only works if it's in the cockpit of the gun.
In the
I can
chamber, yeah.
see in the chamber of the gun, I can see that's a gun, right? And I know that you have the propensity. You can do it if I give you the clip. But if I take the clip out and make sure that the chamber is empty, you can no longer shoot me with that gun. It's just a gun. You took your power back. You took your power back. And the thing about it is, we have to keep remembering to take our power back every single time until it becomes a lifestyle.
It's something it next week it'll be a year that he passed away, Michael. And I heard his voice so clear 2 weeks ago. Something was really bothering me. And he would always tell me, he would say, Camille, 5 years from now, is it really gonna matter? And it stuck with me. And he was like, that's the way I deal with things. 5 years, is it gonna matter? Probably not. And every now and then when I get in those situations, I can hear his voice so clear. And I'll be like, 5 years, is this really gonna matter? Probably not. And that's how I weigh things out now. Off that conversation with him.
Yeah, it's a real story. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but being a survivor of abuse, I can get you off me if I want to. You can say something to me and I have a response immediately. But what am I doing? I'm damaging you further, right? So I
It's like
implement a
that
pause.
cloth when there's a tear
Yeah, it's a tear
on
on both
both.
sides.
Yeah,
And so now, anytime someone asks me a question, I pause before I answer. I pause because I need to know where it's going to land and how it's going to land. If it's going to cause more damage, then I have to figure out a different way to deliver it. If it's going to cause hurt or pain, I can't give you that because now I am an abuser now. I have become what I don't want to be or what I came from.
mhm.
But that's when you understand how to manage those things. That's what this, like, literally today, I'm not the man I was 2 years ago. Thank God I'm not the man I was Sunday. Grace is evident for everyone. But even though there's grace, I don't have to allow you to hurt me.
That's good. Going back to Bishop Jakes, he kind of touched on that, and he said, um, there will there will be a point where you will have the advantage. What will you do with the advantage when the power is given to you? Will you use that advantage and that power to reconcile, or will you use it to retaliate?
A wounded person is going to retaliate.
Yeah,
But I know I've shared a lot of things that the Lord has shared with me. But one day I was praying to God about something that hurt me, and I said, God, why does this hurt? He said, take the bandage off. I said, but then it's going to bleed. He said, how do you think it's going to heal? I said, you have to expose it. He said, the only way that you can get healing is if you expose the hurt. And what most of us do, we are wrapped in body bandages.
a mummy.
We are mummies. And every time, and we don't realize it still hurts until somebody bumps it. And you're like, oh, I know you didn't just say that to me. I know you just shouldn't do that to me.
Mhm.
But they were completely unaware that this is a wound that you've been nursing. And so my goal is to expose all of those things. The unfortunate part is some of those things happened when I was so young, I wasn't even aware. But when I am aware, or when if something triggers it, I have to acknowledge it and I have to find
Yeah,
out where it came from.
yeah.
The
I
principles
go
apply
for
all the
it.
way through.
It does. I've talked to several people, particularly within our community, about therapy and the importance of it. And they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do therapy because I don't want to emotionally revisit that place or go back to that." And I'm thinking, but that's the point, exposing it and taking that away. And it's just like, for you to not do therapy, you're just allowed. It's festering and it's growing and it's becoming more infected.
The work continues. It doesn't ever stop. That's the unfortunate part for me. And I say unfortunate loosely, but the unfortunate part is that the work continues. You know why? Because our trauma response is to go back to what is familiar, to go back to the things that we know, I'm going to go off on you because that's going to get me off you. My loudness, my loud brokenness, I'm going to go back to that. But does that really hurt? Does that help? No,
No,
it
it doesn't.
doesn't. And so the work continues, and you're continually trying to, and we don't use the word trying. We're continually making the effort to be the best version of ourselves. But until you look in the mirror and acknowledge who you are, figure out how you got to be there, and then figure out what you want to do with it, it doesn't change.
That's so true. This has been great. I do want to bring you back because this is just the appetizer.
Come on,
Um,
man.
excuse me. Before we wrap up, just give like a nugget or gem until you come back for the
Okay.
viewers and listeners, and also where people can find you on social media.
I am Recondius O'Brien on Instagram. I am the Recondius O'Brien Experience uh, for my business, and Recondius O'Brien on Facebook as well. There's only one. Ironically, in all my 52 years, there's no one else with the name Recondius. So I proudly own that stamp. You say takeaways. Um, do the work. Do the work, and don't be ashamed of the work. One of the things that I love, a revelation that I was given, that stained glass windows are beautiful, right? But it's a bunch of broken glass that has been pieced together to create a masterpiece. No matter what your work requires, no matter what you've been through, you are the masterpiece that is a result of that. Don't be ashamed of that. Don't shy away from that. Pick up your pieces and create the most beautiful picture that you can, because those pieces were given to you because you could manage them. The unfortunate part is most times we bury them as opposed to putting them together. But they all make a beautiful picture, right?
Yes, I love it. I definitely want to bring you back to continue this conversation. Um, you left, as a kid say, you left nothing.
I
I'm
mean,
trying to stay cool. You know, I'm getting a little older this year, so I'm trying to stay relevant and current. So, what they say is giving. I think that's what they is giving.
that's what they say. It's given.
It's giving profoundness.
Listen, listen. I'm always encouraged when you ask me to be a part of anything that you do, but it's hard to kind of, I try to keep it, real generic, real PG. But I have been through
No,
some
we go
things.
there on here.
Yeah, but
So
I've been through some things, and so as
I
a result,
understand.
my experience allows me to give voice to quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, thank you for taking time
Hey,
out of your
hey,
busy schedule.
listen, I'm waiting on the next call to say we back.
Hey, that's gonna happen.
I
So
appreciate you.
with that being said, everybody, this is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where the innovators and creators connect. If you happen to miss this live, the replay will be available on my YouTube channel. We're now streaming across all digital spaces. That includes Spotify, Amazon, Audible, iHeartRadio, AfriPods, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, all that. So just be sure to tune in. Hey Sharon, better late than never. Thanks for popping in. Also, I'm on Instagram. Follow me at Camille.Essick. I'm there. I would love to hear from you. You can also shoot me an email at info@Camille.Essick. I do have merch available on my website at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Be sure to use the coupon code GBM15. That way you can save 15% at the checkout. We have digital products available on the Etsy store right there. You can also follow me on TikTok. My Amazon store, all my favorite goodies. I'm a girly girl, if you couldn't tell. So I have all my beautiful things there that you can purchase along with me. And also follow Good Black Men. I don't know if y'all can see the shirt. Yeah, but we have merch available. We have coffee mugs, tumblers, journals, everything for the brothers and ladies too, because why? All of them are not bad. We love our brothers and we want to give them some shine. Recondius, why are you laughing?
Because I love my Good Black Men merchandise. I have quite a few things. I think I got the T-shirt in almost every color and everywhere. Every time I wear one, people be like, "Yeah, y'all do still exist."
Oh
So,
yeah.
but you was like, all black women are not bad. No, black women are beautiful, and women are beautiful in general. I don't think that if we're honest, that any of us would exist without the woman. And I'm grateful, for. Um, I'm grateful for the opportunity to keep showing up. In conclusion, for me, my aspiration every day is to be a good black man.
I think you're doing a great job, sir.
Thank you, man. I
Because
appreciate
why?
you.
Good black men still exist.
Yes,
They
they do.
really do. And
Yes, they
and
do.
and when you come back, I probably would need to talk about that on live, like why I created this shirt. It was a personal reason, and it's my way of shouting back. Like even though we've gone through some things, there's still some good brothers out there,
Yeah,
and they
absolutely.
need that affirmation as well. So I love me some y'all.
We love you too, baby. Trust me, we do.
All right. Well, everyone, I hope you got something. Myron, thank you so much First of all, let's give out a shout out to Curtis. I don't know you, brother Curtis, Deacon Curtis. I'm churchy, but thank you for rocking with us since we went live. Thank you to Myron and Sharon, and was that Pretty Moody? Some other people that popped in and out. But thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate that. And until next time, you all be blessed. And then, Recondius, I'm going to chat with you in a second. But
Okay.
y'all have a great night. Be blessed.
Thanks, family, for joining in. We
Thank
appreciate
you
you.
so much. Bye.
Hi.